Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. So, before I start, trigger warning. Yeah, if you know me, you know me. If you don't, if you're new to the channel, I'm just letting you know that what I'm about to say here may trigger some people. So, if you're using dating apps, you're part of the problem. And let me elaborate on that. Let me ask you a question. Do you honestly think that the companies that design these products, these applications for people to use, really have your best interest in mind? Do you think that they made these applications so people can be able to date and find a viable partner, a real connection, a solid connection, something that'll last? Or do you think that these products were designed with one thing in mind and one thing only? It's to generate profits and lots of it. What is your honest opinion on this? I would love to know. Feel free to, chime in the comments. Anyway, I've touched on this here and there in the past. I'm going to go a little deeper today because I think that these applications that is what most people use these days, which is pretty sad to begin with. They are doing so much harm to society as a whole on such a deep level that that's a huge part of the problems that we face today and all this stupid gender war BS and crap that's going on for quite some time now. And I understand why these things have been happening. I've touched on this before. And I know it goes much deeper than that, but this only adds to the problem. And this is the last thing we need right now. Let's be real. So the biggest problem that I see with these applications is that, well, first of all, there's a lot of fakery going on, right? People people use, you know, pictures and photos of them from like friggin' 20 something years ago. People use filters. And that's usually, for the most part, more on the female side, but I wouldn't be surprised if guys aren't doing that too. I'm sure there are some out there that do the same thing. Why do people try to paint a picture of themselves that looks nothing like what they actually do look like in person? Do you honestly think that that's a good way to try to start something? Being completely dishonest and deceitful about it? Not at all. That's what any normal person will think. So like I said, this may trigger people. That's okay though. I don't care. So that's one problem. And then you have all the unrealistic expectations that people have. And part of the reason why these things happen is because all of us, we've been trained and conditioned to have certain expectations from a partner when it comes down to relationships, right? But a lot of these expectations that we have, first of all, they're not our own. They're imprints. They are programs that were designed with only one thing in mind: to create separation, hatred, and division. These people know what they're doing, guys. This is not their first rodeo. I'm part of a generation where we didn't use any of these things for the most part. I was born in the 70s, so these things, it, it was completely different world. You know, the world that I come from compared to today. People actually met in person, like the way the real world works. And and I'm not gonna say that some of the issues that are pretty bad today didn't exist, back then, but it was very different in that sense. Today, I know why a lot of men, especially young men, they're afraid to even approach women because of the repercussions that may come with that. Now, on the other hand, now you have women complaining that they're not getting approached anymore because they're like, what happened? Why men don't approach us anymore? Well, you asked. You asked not to be approached. You were calling every other guy out there a creep and this and that. So what do you expect? What ended up happening is men heard it and they became too afraid to do anything because there is a chance, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen in every single case, in every single scenario, but there's a chance that, just by approaching someone, a guy may have a woman call the cops on him and call it, you know, harassment, assault, whatever. It happens. So do you see the problem that we have now? There are so many issues. I could make hundreds of videos talking about this, but this is not what the channel is about. So I'm not really gonna talk about these things. But my advice to anyone, if you're looking for a connection, if you're looking to connect, well, first of all, these things come naturally. When you begin looking for these things outside of you because you feel the need to have a partner, you're looking for trouble. Let's be real. These things, these things, they will come naturally. They will occur naturally. If you're in the right state of mind, state of being, these things will happen in a natural manner, like it's supposed to be. Not by forcing, not by pressure, not by any of these things. The more you force something to happen, the worse the outcome is going to be. Think about nature and how nature works. In an environment like this, for instance, do you think anything that happens here is forced or happens naturally because of the environment itself and how this ecosystem here works? Do you get what I'm saying? Don't gotta be high IQ to understand these concepts at all. So certain things, they will happen naturally. And that's how you're going to find real connection with real meaning in your life. Now, for all the females out there that are using these applications and are getting psychologically damaged and harmed by the 5% of men that are abusing this. Because you see, here's the thing. There is a small group of men that are certainly having a blast and abusing this because they can, right? And because there's a lot of people out there that they don't have any morals. So they will just do whatever because, it's okay to do it. But what people don't understand when they do these things is that there are repercussions from things like this. And you may think it's okay to do something like this all the time. But I'm going to tell you, there will definitely be karma and things of that nature related to actions such as this, because if there's people out there, men or women, but this goes more for men, because, that's what they're doing now. They're going out there and they're like sleeping with as many women they can through these applications because they are part of the 5% that the women are doing the swipes on, or whatever it is that they do on these things. I don't know. And we were not designed, we were not meant, we're not wired for these things, the one night stands, whatever. What people fail to understand is that when people have intercourse and things of that nature, it's not just a physical act. There's a spiritual side of things that people don't even know about or are aware of sometimes. And when you become energetically entangled with somebody that way, there's a lot of things happening in the background that people are not aware of that. And I'm not here to explain any of these things. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. And if you're curious about it, go do some research. Go look it up. But when two people connect that way, there's a lot of things happening on the ether, so to speak, that people are not aware of. And trust me, these things will have repercussions for sure. So, like I said, if it triggered people, so be it. I don't really care. I'm just here to lay out some of this stuff, and hopefully it'll help people somehow. Because I can tell you one thing, these dating apps, they're cancer. They're not good for you. They're only harming society. And I would dare to say that, and I'm not here defending any sides either, but I would dare to say it's doing more damage. And this is not me simping either, okay? Keep that in mind. But I honestly think that this is doing more damage to the female side of things than to the male side of things. I mean, it's doing damage to both, really, because men are, just basically giving up, walking away because of them being aware that there's only a small group of guys taking advantage of this system and doing their thing. And then on the other side, women are getting severely psychologically damaged and traumatized by this. And this is why you see so many women out there on social media making videos and stuff and saying that, you know, all men are trash, all men suck, and all these things. Do you see the problem? But nobody's taking accountability or responsibility for it. It's one side blaming the other. And we got to find common ground here, meet in the middle somewhere, and acknowledge and understand that this is a problem that has been ongoing, and it's happening not just because of one side or another. There's a whole system in place and all kinds of things going on as well. And if you're more curious about this, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. And I'm going to make a suggestion. There's a channel on YouTube called, I think it's the Willfully Evolved Woman or something like that. It's a small channel. I mean, compared to mine, it's big, but it's a small channel. I think she has like a 700 and something subs, whatever. And she has this series of videos. I think it's entitled The Dark Side of the Female or something like that. There's a bunch of videos. It's a series of videos, right? And she's talking to Michael Tsarion. And they go deep into these things, and they're explaining why things are the way they are now, and why, and it explaining the whole reasons behind it, and talking about it into a lot of detail of the historical context of why these things are happening and why we have reached this point. And it's very, very good stuff. Extremely enlightening, to say the least. Really good stuff. I've always liked Michael Tsarion and his work. And if you're not aware of who he is and what he does, go Google him and see his books and stuff. But yeah, I like Michael Tsarion a lot. And he was out of YouTube for quite some time, and now he's back, and they're doing this series of videos, and I think it's really, really good information, extremely helpful, shed a light on these issues and problems that are happening right now and why they're happening the way they're happening. Because, you know, there are reasons for this. So they do a very good job of explaining all of this. I'll put her channel on the description box so you guys can check it out if you're curious about it. Okay? And yeah, I think it's good. And yeah, wow, this video went almost 20 minutes. But yeah, okay, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And if you like the channel, don't forget to click the like button, share, subscribe, and I'll be back on the next one. Until next time, take care everyone, be safe. Later.